What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is the second time I am filming this video. The first time I filmed this video, it looked like shit. No, seriously, it looked like complete and utter proper shit. My lighting and my white balance was completely off, so I looked like a total Oompa Loompa. I looked like this. And to top it all off, my makeup came out looking like hot garbage. I look like that. Yes, seriously, like that. But here we are again because I, Michelle Monroy, am no quitter. So let's get to cream contouring. So you always want to apply your base before your cream contour and highlight, and I already did mine with the Makeup Forever Ultra HD in the shade Y405. What you're going to want to do next is conceal, and you want to take a concealer that is 1 to 2 shades lighter than your skin tone, and I'm taking the Tarte Shape Tape in the shade light medium and medium. I'm just going to take the shade medium and dot that underneath my eyes, and you definitely want to get this area that's in your inner corner. And then I'm going to take that shade light medium that's just 1 shade lighter than medium, and I am going to put that underneath where I placed medium just to give it a little more brightness. And you're going to want to go alongside your nose. That's going to help the contouring in the end. I'm just going to go back and take that shade medium, and I am going to apply that to my chin. I'm going to do a little palm tree above my eyebrows, and I'm going to take just a little bit along my nose. My nose is slightly dry on top, so I don't like to use too much of this just because I feel like it could look a little bit cakey. I'm taking the pointed end of my Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge, and I'm just going to pinch that a little bit and start blending everything out. Make sure that when you're blending that out, you go down the sides of your nose and underneath. People tend to get a little bit of redness there, so you're definitely going to want to apply some of that concealer right here. You're definitely going to want to move really quickly with this concealer. It does dry down very quick. So if you do have drier skin, I would recommend going with a concealer that is just a little bit more hydrating than this one. Now it's time to graffiti our face. So I am going to be taking the iconic London Pigment stick in the shade 3.1. This is a really good shade to use because it is a little more cool toned, and you definitely want to use something that is cool toned to create that shadow. I also love using these foundation sticks to cream contour because they are very movable. They are meant to be foundation, so they move very easy and they blend into your foundation seamlessly. So I'm going to start off with contouring my cheeks, and this is something that is extremely necessary for me. I have a super round face. It's pretty much the shape of a ball. So I definitely need to take this step when contouring. And what I like to do is I like to take the contour from about the top of my ear to about maybe the end of my eye. I don't like to take it down too far because I feel like it tends to get a bit muddy. And if you don't have round cheeks like me, what you could do is take that stick and actually cup around so you could look like you have a little bit more of a ball of a cheek, and that'll bring your cheekbones higher up and it'll make you look like you have a bit of a softer face. I also just take that on the sides of my forehead and align on top. And I do this to make my forehead look a little bit smaller. I don't have a huge forehead, but I do like to make it look just a little bit smaller. If you have a smaller forehead already, I would suggest just doing a little line on top and then maybe 1 line on each side just to even everything out so everything's the same color. Next, I like to apply some on my jawline. I have the weakest jawline of all time, so I really like doing this because I feel like my chin and my neck just like mesh all together. So doing this really separates that and it makes it look like you have a really nice strong chin. As for the nose, this is something that you really have to customize for yourself because if you have a slimmer nose, I wouldn't really recommend contouring your nose. But there are so many different ways you can contour. So what I like to do, because I feel like I have a bit of a wider nose and my nose doesn't have that cute little upturn that I really like, I like to just apply this to the bottom underneath the tip. And you could already see that that's already lifting up my nose. And then I just take a little bit around the tip And I bring it upward about right there. I don't like to take it too high up because I have a little bit of a bump on my nose and I don't want to accentuate that. Now we're just going to blend everything out, and to make it all look very seamless and smooth, I take 2 different products. And so I like to use this iconic, I don't know what these are called actually, but I will leave it in the description down below. But I really like these Artiste type brushes to blend out the contour. And then I like to take a sponge. I actually just dropped my Real Technique sponge on the floor and I can't bring myself to use that again now. So I'm gonna be using this Morphe, I think this is the contouring sponge, but I'm not sure. I will also leave this down below in the description box. And I like using this to make everything feather out and look very, very, very natural. So I'm just gonna take that iconic London brush and start blending everything out. With this, you don't need to apply too much pressure. You're definitely gonna want to have a really light hand with it. Every time I use these brushes to contour, someone will always tell me it looks like I'm using a spoon or a toothbrush. It's a brush, guys. Promise, it's a brush, and it's a really good one. I'm obsessed with the color and consistency of these foundation sticks, or pigment sticks is what they're actually called. It just has like the best contouring color ever for my skin tone, and they blend out so easy. With this brush especially, it just blends them out so seamlessly. Okay, so I saved my nose for last because I don't actually love using a brush for my nose. I like to take the tip of the sponge and just press in to those lines. I feel like the brush will sometimes take it up too high and touch that little crook I have in my nose, and I really, really, really don't like accentuating that. So now that we applied all of those cream highlights and contours, you're definitely gonna wanna set them all down, especially if you live somewhere that's very, very warm. They will definitely move around. So I like to take my Laura Mercier loose translucent setting powder, and I like to bake my under eyes, my smile lines, and my chin. I also take some of that powder down the sides of my nose, and that's just gonna help even everything out and make it look even more contoured and more narrow. So like I said, if you already have a narrow nose, you don't want to do this, but if your nose is a little bit wider, this is a really good tip to take. And I always apply some to my smile lines, and I know I look a little bit crazy and like I got a stash going on, but listen, this helps my foundation stay on all day, and I crease so badly in my laugh line, so this is something that is extremely necessary for me. I also like putting a little bit on my chin, and that just helps my chin pop out a little bit more. Like I said, I have a very weak jawline and chin, so this is something that I really like to do personally, but you don't have to do this. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes, and that's usually how long I like to bake. Normally when I'm doing this, I don't have my eyebrows on already, so I take the time and I do my eyebrows and then I wipe everything off. And I am taking an e.l.f. highlighting brush and I'm just wiping all of that powder out from underneath my eyes, on the sides of my nose, my smile lines. And thankfully this is a really good highlighting translucent powder. I feel like it gives just the right amount of brightening. It doesn't change the color of your concealer, so I love this powder so much for that. And it really smooths everything out and it makes it look like you have just like a filter on your skin. So just how you set that highlight, you're definitely going to want to set that contour. And I am taking the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, and I'm going to be taking the shade Shadow Play, which is this middle shade right here. And I'm gonna take a nice big stippling brush like this one, and I'm just gonna dip it in there and set all that powder down. So I just added a lip and a little bit of turquoise underneath my eyes and some mascara, and now we're gonna move on to highlighting. And you guys know highlighting is my favorite part of makeup aside from my eyebrows. So there are 2 ways we could go about this. If you didn't set your makeup already, you could use a cream highlighter like this one from Iconic London. I swear this video isn't sponsored. They just have really good products. This is their Strobing stick in the shade Glow, and it is such a pretty color. It has a great consistency. They actually also have the Glow drops, which look amazing. They look sick, and I think that I am going to be ordering those next. But actually what I'm going to do is just go in with a dry highlighter since I already powdered my face down. So I'm going to be going in with the Ofra highlighter in the shade Blissful. It is a beautiful champagne pale colored highlighter and it is insane. It is so bright. Like I've just been finding the greatest highlighters this month. This is definitely one of those that I'm obsessed with. I was actually sent this by Octoly, so I did get it for free, but my opinions are all my own, and I am definitely obsessed with this. One of my favorite tips that I learned from YouTube, I learned from Mac Daddy, who is the king of highlighter. So what he says to do is you should actually spray your face with a little bit of Fix Plus. I don't have Fix Plus, so I'm gonna be using the Morphe Prep and Set. So not only does that help your makeup all settle down, but once it gets to the point where it's almost dry, but not quite dry yet, you're gonna wanna take your highlighter, and I'm just taking my Real Techniques setting brush and dipping it in just a little bit into this product because this product can get a little wild. So I'm just gonna take that at the top of my cheekbones and you're gonna see how insane this highlighter is. Look at that. That's just with the tiniest amount of product. The first time I used this, I used way too much and I was just like, oh my God. I need to tone this down, and I had to go in with a beauty blender and like tone it down a little bit because it was a little insane for me. Aside from the cheekbones, my favorite thing to highlight is my nose. I feel like highlighting your nose actually snatches it almost a little bit more than contouring it. Don't quote me on that, but I really do think it does. So what I like to do is take a tiny little brush like this one. This is a little lip brush from e.l.f. And I take the smallest amount of my highlighter, I dust it off, and then I see where I want the tip of my nose to be. So I like an upturned nose a little bit, so I just put a little bit right here. And that just helps it look like the tip of my nose is a bit higher than what it actually is. And then I take a little bit more and I just go down the center of my nose. This is a tricky thing, so you're gonna wanna make sure that if your nose is straight, you do this. But if you have a crooked nose, this could actually make your nose look even more crooked, so I would say to just avoid this completely if you don't like that look. So I'm gonna do it because I only do it right here and I avoid the crook in my nose, and then I keep going down. Okay guys, so this is the completed look. I hope this video was helpful and you enjoyed it. If you did like it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also, don't forget to click that little notification bell so you know every single time that I post a new video. And if you missed my last video, I'm gonna put it right here for you guys to watch.